They don't understand that, for example, their food has come from nature, and that's why we see people in the Canberra bubble have zero idea about what goes on farms. Children think milk comes out of a carton and eggs come out of a packet. No, they don't. So getting out, and this could include farm stays, there's a whole range of different activities, but it gets us better connected with the fact that we're part of nature. And of course, throw on the top of that, get a little bit of vitamin D from the sun. You don't want to get sunburnt, but a bit of vitamin D is very useful. And fresh air as against recycled air-conditioned air.
That's right, because when you think about it, when we're on our phones, we're under the impression that we are being social, but really we are the loneliest we've ever been. So when you're getting outdoors, you can actually, you can do it on your own, or you can be social, having that interaction with other people as well, which is obviously very, very beneficial as well.
And look, you see people, out on a Saturday morning, a group of cyclists can be out and about, have people doing nature walks. There are park runs and walks that I'm aware of. So again, it doesn't have to be, you can go up into the foothills, or you can go a little bit further out. But, particularly in Perth, we're fairly blessed. We've got a lot of outdoor opportunities. Kings Park, for example, the foothills, as I mentioned, you can go to a water area, you can go to the beach. There are a lot of options for people.
Yes, we are very spoiled in Western Australia and Perth. We've got so many beautiful places to go. Can you share how spending time in nature might benefit our immune system as well?
Yeah, look, again, number one, it's going to be good for our stress levels.
Yeah.
And we know that if we're more stressed, that can negatively impact our immune system. Touched before about vitamin D, and vitamin D deficiency is quite prevalent in this society, which is appalling given how much sunshine we've got. And look, the care in the sun message is important, not saying it isn't, but we can take things too far. And when you see school children in the middle of July having to put on hats to go outside, we know we've taken it a little bit too far. Fresh air is also useful, but exercise is also a stimulant for our immune system.
And it'll be all good for our waistline as well.
Well, that too, yeah. And again, if we're outside and being active rather than sitting on a screen and munching maybe on potato chips. So sometimes it's what we do, but also what we're not doing that matters.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think we should be introducing more activities like this, or encouraging more behaviour like that in schools?
Look, we should. And, again, if you look over the years, I'm old enough to remember walking or riding a bike to school. And now that's sort of, all but verboten. And yes, stranger danger is a reality, but in actual fact, something like 95% of child sexual abuse will be from a family member or somebody known to the child. So in actual fact, we do worry about the wrong thing. Yes, if children climb up a tree, they may fall down, and that might cause an injury. But you know what? And it's not good to break a bone, right? Okay, no. And it's not likely. You can scrape your knee. There's a whole sort of fairly minor injuries. But we worry more about that than the fact that the children are not being active, that they may well develop diabetes type 2 and a whole lot of on effects. But that won't be seen for years later. So we actually, and this is again a problem from governments and from big public health, worry about the wrong thing.
Exactly. So how can we encourage people then to get outdoors? Should we make it a weekly thing? Shall we do a daily thing?
Look, it's going to depend on people's routines, but the beginning of it is setting the intent. So I'm going to carve out some time during the week, and particularly for families, it can be quite good. It can be bonding time. You can go down to a park, take a frisbee, take the dog if you've got one, get the whole family involved. Yes, we're going to go for a hike. Maybe we'll go for a bike ride, and we'll end up and have a cup of coffee or some lunch or morning tea, whatever it might be. But this is when we're going to do it. And it could be every day. Realistically, that might not work for everybody. Okay, we'll do it on a Saturday or a Sunday. Or Friday. Set some intent. Put it in your diary. And if we had a meeting for business, we'd probably stick to that time. We'd be committed to it. We can make a commitment to ourselves and to those around us to do this as well.
Yeah, you've made some very good points there. So can you please tell us where everyone can find you online?
All right, so we've still got the website, drjoetoday.com, but the podcast, Dr. Joe Unplugged, is on Substack. You can find it there, but also on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Rumble. As I say, wherever you get your podcasts, you can find Dr. Joe Unplugged, and on X as well. And we typically look to put out a piece each week.
That's excellent. Well, thank you so much for chatting to us today. And it's now over to you, Fred.
Thank you very much, Bernadette Marie. Back later on with The Buzz. Dr. Joe, quick question. Your podcast, what's the next one all about?
Look, Fred, that's a really good question that you ask. We have recorded a few, and Podwave Studios, who put these together, will organise the scheduling. So we've had one on a bit of a revisit on COVID and some of the lessons that have been learned and some that need to be learned, and also about the problems with sugar. And I've got one coming up, and it's probably in the next week or two, on when did doctors flick from being comforting to being fearmongers.
Yeah, very true. Thank you very much. Check that out on his website. All the details are there. Dr. Joe and Bernadette, thank you very much. Now, Sister Act is coming to Perth on the 26th of April at the Crown. If you haven't caught all the hype about